Good morning. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning, Rev Neusom.
Good morning, Anna. I'm glad we could do this in my backyard. This is kind of special. I've been wanting to show everyone where I live, but, well, here we are.
And we're ready to continue on this trajectory of deepening, bonding, and holding. And today is the day in which once we have gone deeper and expanded and bonded in a different way, now we're ready to hold the highest and best for all of us. So I bet that you have an outstanding talk there to get us into that frequency, aren't you?
I would really like you to hold that thought.
I'll hold it. I'll hold sacred space for that.
That's good, yeah. Today is on creating the world that you wish to see. So let's join it and begin now.
Be welcome.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Today I want to talk to you about holding not in withholding or holding tight, but keeping the vision for something grander and better in life. For the last 2 weeks, we've been working on this idea that first you need to deepen, and then you want to bond with the world out there, and now today we're talking about holding, so it's de-bo-ho. Anna coined this phrase. It's probably something that's easier said in Spanish, but anyway, we're using it. De-bo-ho. De-bo-ho. Deepen, bond with people, hold. And so today we're going to be holding a vision for the future. I want to say one of the things about this is that this is a vision for the future, but it could also be a vision for the present. Because there's really nothing in the future that we cannot already experience somehow in the present. So if it is love or wisdom or kindness that we wish to see in the future, we need to be practicing today. So when we hold this, we're holding it for now and for in the future. So let's start with that. The first thing I think we need to remember is that we are part of the union of all minds. There is essentially, in metaphysical talk, there's only one mind of which we are part. So when we hold or envision something, it influences the whole of it because we are not separate from it. We're the same as your vision, your holding influences others. Our job as human beings has always been to be the best person we can be. But in this time in which there are now 10 billion of us, or nearly 10 billion of us, we need to realize that our minds are intertwined, and how we hold something, the space we give to people, the space we give to ourselves. This is a gift or a curse to people depending on which way we go. So let's take responsibility for it. Let's own this. Now, a long time ago, the TM, Transcendental Meditation people, started to do a study on what happens when you get a collective number of people together to meditate. It turned out that when they studied this, it was 1% of the general population. When 1% of the general population meditates at depth, you have a transformation in the whole population. Some of the factors they found that were most significant were that the crime rate went down. Crime goes down when 1% is meditating. So does business improve. so there is better traffic flow. It turns out that actually the weather in most cases also improved. 1% of the population meditating created the conditions in the outer world that reflected what was happening on the inner world of that 1%. In other words, peace, a sense of prosperity, and health all were improved by their meditative practice, both for the people meditating and for the world around you. That's pretty cool. I mean, if you really think about it, that what you do in the silence of your own home, in the privacy of your own closet where you meditate, that can influence the world around you enough that it's measurable, that it can be graphed. It's important what you do. Most of us think we live in a private world of ourselves and our thoughts are our own. Our thoughts are our own. We hold them. Nobody knows what's going on. Turns out it's not true. Turns out, actually, they do know what's going on. Maybe they can't name it. Maybe they can't point a finger at you and say, wow, you're really being an angry and hostile person. No love, no peace, no happiness. Wow, that's really happening for you because you may be good at hiding it on the outside. But somewhere, we are feeling the effect of whoever you are choosing to be. So it's incumbent upon all of us to raise our vibration to match the vision that we would like to see for the world. Gandhi, of course, comes to mind. Be that which you wish to see in the world, to become that. Now, in this time of the coronavirus, I think when we have this enormous reset where we can start over, we can begin again, it's hard to believe that we would want to come back exactly as we did. I think we want a more compassionate, a more egalitarian, a happier, more centered around each other and human beings rather than things, a community that is based on love and respect and not on privilege and superiority. That we're really based on seeing the Christ in each other. As we say every Sunday here, almost every Sunday we say these words, I behold the Christ in you. What does that mean? It means that we see the divine in you. We see the pattern that God has created, this pattern of perfection as a human being, the ideal of the human being, we call that the Christ. And when we say, I see the Christ in you, it says we're not looking at the things that separate you from the oneness with God. We're looking at that which unites you with it. And not only unites you with the divine, but unites us with each other. That is the Christ, the perfection, the perfect of you. It's really a Platonic idea that there is in the mind of God perfection of humanity, and that we are kind of like representatives of that perfection, but not yet completely that way. And so we have showed differences and individuality. However, behind all that is this ideal, this perfected ideal of which we carry within ourselves this because it is given to everyone. And when we see the Christ in each other, we see the perfection in it. So imagine this. I don't know if you've ever tried this, but imagine this, that you go through life for a whole day, try it for a whole day, in which you only see that which is good in someone. Instead of looking around and going, wow, she's taller, or he's shorter, or she's heavier or lighter, or they have dark hair or green eyes, or whatever it is, we look instead for the perfection. We look for the Christ in each person. Now, if we practice that, then you go into a store and someone's in front of you and maybe they're going slowly or something. We begin to look more clearly at them and look not at what is slowing our progress down, but more precisely look to see what is perfect in them. Now, imagine if you were surrounded by only people who looked and saw the perfection in you. What do you think your response would be? How do you think you might respond to that which is a weakness in yourself? It's my opinion that this would be the perfect conditions for you to grow in. There's an old story about a tribe in Africa that had this habit of treating everyone with a degree of kindness and respect. And the way they would do it is that when someone would mess up, what they would do is they would gather around this person and they would start to sing to them the story, the song that their mother sang as when they were pregnant, when she was pregnant. This is their song. This is the song of their perfection, essentially, the song of their love and beauty and everything. And they would hold this person, essentially, in community and at the same time sing them a reminder of their higher self. Now, imagine if that were you. You were in this group, and this group, instead of giving you a hard time or kicking you out of the group because you'd done something that displeased everyone, they instead had brought you in closer and had reminded you of your higher self. What a better place to be. What a brilliant way of treating the changes that all of us go through, and sometimes we don't do them well and sometimes we do, but when we do them badly, instead of being thrown into jail or cast out of the community, we're brought into the community. What a better way to do it, don't you think? So here we are. We have this idea that what we do, what we think and feel, how we have held the world, has demonstrably been able to prove it matters. So if we meditate, how we hold our attention on people, it changes the world around us. This is a world I think you could come to love, because it would reflect the highest of us, not the least. Instead of telling people that there was something wrong with them, we would make the space for them to do so much better. I recently heard that in this country, we have 5% of the world's population. Just 5% of the world's population. But we happen to have 22% of the prison population. I don't think Americans are inherently evil or bad, and therefore they need to be incarcerated at 4 times the rate of the population of the world. It just turns out that we have chosen a harsh way of causing reform in people rather than a loving way. I think that one of the other things that's really true here is that because we have not practiced deeply enough seeing ourselves in the other, it's easy to complain about others or to blame others for what's not right. This has caused a great deal of suffering. I think at this moment, even before the coronavirus, there was a growing sentiment that there was a need for prison reform. And in essence, this prison that we have put around some people, this physical prison we have put around some people, has imprisoned us all. We all have to pay for it. We all fear for what will happen when they come out. We have set up a system of fear that has dominated the way of treating people who act differently than we would like. We don't work on reform so much as we work on keeping them away from us. But the world could be different. We could be like the tribe in Africa, where we, instead of incarcerating someone, we sing to them, in essence, a new way of being, a healing way of being. Many of the people that are in prison today are in prison because of drugs. Either they were selling or using. This is still the case. Many people are selling and using drugs, but we are beginning to get our minds around the idea that this is a disease of the mind rather than simply they are substandard and need to be kept away from us. Our hope, I think, is that each person can grow into the fullness of their being. And many of us, many of us, if not all of us, have made mistakes. And in so doing, we need to grow beyond them. But perhaps the more fertile field to grow in would be one of love and compassion rather than one of imprisonment. This time of being more or less imprisoned ourselves in our own homes should give us a clue as to how we might want to be when we get out. We might have developed some sense of empathy for those who are spending time isolated from their family and friends, not living out in the world as they would like. This could be a breakthrough moment where we begin to see people not so much as the enemy, but as a friend we have not yet made. I have a dog. This dog cannot seem to realize that anybody is not his friend. And so he greets them all with such vigor and excitement that it sometimes scares people because he comes up so quickly. But one of the things I've noticed is that even though this dog is not a metaphysician, he treats everybody as though he can see the Christ in them. And this act of seeing the Christ in them, for some, is like the highlight of their day. They feel like they have been affirmed as a human being just because a dog has said, "Hey, I see you. I think you're special," even though he doesn't know him. Maybe we could be a little more like my dog. I tend to take a much more cold way of greeting people, but I got to say that it certainly works for him. He seems to be happy. The next thing I'd like to talk about is this idea of keeping our hearts open so that we can make our own bodies respond with health and vigor to whatever is happening in the world. There's a trick with this whole thing about keeping your heart open and bringing your health. You have to also have kind of a protective coating of light around you. You need to be willing and able to not only have your heart open, but to ask the divine or ask the higher forces of some sort to shield you from that which might damage your heart. When our hearts are really open, they're essentially very, very, very sensitive. And as sensitive hearts, they can feel the pain of life quite easily. But if we don't have our hearts open, then we become insensitive to the pain of life at the same time. So it's somehow we need to learn how to modulate this so that it is productive. And one of the prayers I have is, let only in that which will serve, and don't let anything in that does not serve. In other words, if it's going to hurt me or slow me down in my progress, please don't let it in. If it will open me into a greater sense of community or love, or it brings me awareness of something that is hurting in another, okay, that's acceptable to bring it in. But don't bring in what will damage me. I think this is a way of being in the world as well. We give ourselves to the world, we give ourselves with love and exuberance to others that we might be of service to them, but we need also to have a sense of space around ourselves that protects us, so that we are not like, we do not fall into the pit with people. Instead, we give them a hand up. Our job is not to become the poor, our job is to be of service. One of the worst ways of helping a poor person is to become one. The same is true in one of the worst ways of helping a depressed person is to become depressed. We don't need to join them in the suffering. We need to offer a pathway out. So in our vision of the future, we see people who are both strong and compassionate, both successful and helpful. This becomes the new normal for us, that we know how to manage our own self, that we can stay healthy and strong, but we can also bring love and compassion to others. In the world that I see in the future, it is somewhat of the reflective of a world that is more generous. And this is not because we're straining against our own dark side, but instead we know our dark side because we have done the deepening. We are connected with others because we have done the bonding. And we are holding the highest in them because we have chosen to see the best in them and the best in the world. This is a vision for the future, I think, that can bring us some hope in this time of transition. We are not going to be the same that we were before. And if we are, what a waste. This is a glorious time for us to unfold as new human beings. We have been given this chance. We have been given a pause so that we can restart. Let us do it with grace, with power, and with love. Let us pray. We are of one heart and one mind. Our one heart and one mind yearns for heaven on earth. Let us do our part to bring it about. Let us speak words of kindness. Let us be gentle with others, and yet strong and firm in our understanding of what is the best and highest in each other. Let us look beyond the appearances. Let us look beyond our own failings and beyond the failings of others to see and to affirm the Christ in each other. And so it is. Amen. We want to invite you now to support this ministry if you can. Please do. There's a link below the screen that says click this if you want to donate. Please do that. As you do so, you'll be taken off this website. Please come back because we want to say a prayer of the prayer box where you can hang in there while we do this prayer and then do the donation. So let's say this together. We begin with the prayer box. Let us pray. Divine Presence as us, and as each person who's put their prayers in this prayer box, we give ourselves to you, that you might give yourselves to us in the fulfillment of our desires and our needs. May this day be a day in which we are healed, we are enriched, where we are bonded and find love, where we are freed of our troubles. May this be true of each person who's asked for it and all of us who are in affirmation with that. May it be so. We are free. We are free. We are happy. And we're whole.
And all of that we're holding for every person in this prayer box, we're holding for the world. We hold being manifested in a new, powerful way. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
One, two, three, four. If I could choose how life would be, I'd choose that you and I'd be free. We'd be free. We'd be free. If I could paint the way things are, I'd paint perspective near and far, near and far, near and far. If I could choose the way things go, I would choose peace and love, and so, and so, and so, and so, and so, and so. 'Cause who we are is who we are, and that's the way it ought to be. Every soul is like a star that wants to shine and to be free. If I could make all understand, if I could place we hand in hand, hand in hand, understand. If I could write the whole darn truth, I would have started in my youth, in my youth, in my youth. Oh, what we could do if we could do the things we if we could come to understand, we can, if we will, behold miracles. Still, if we know from the start, we can control from the heart, from the heart, from the heart. If I decided what was real, if I could guide a soul to feel compassion, would be in fashion. Ooh. Oh, what we could do if we could do the things we can. Oh, what we could be if we could come to understand. We can, if we will, behold miracles. Still, if we know from the start, we can control from the heart, from the heart, from the heart. If I decided what was real, if I could guide a soul to feel compassion, would be in fashion. Ooh.
Many of us are experiencing a range of emotions as we shelter in place. I know I've been on a roller coaster at times, and I've been experiencing some anxiety sometimes, so you may also be experiencing some of these. And I know that it's difficult to acknowledge some of these emotions, such as fear or worry or anxiety, especially now. But let's not beat ourselves up about that, because that's part of the human experience. But we can choose to shift how we think and feel to a more peaceful place. So 30 Days of Fearless Living is an awesome series where inspirational leaders have readings and we offer prayers. These help us to move to a more relaxed place of peace. Each day I record a different message from one of the spiritual leaders and add it with prayer. And we post it on Facebook, SoundCloud, and my personal Facebook page as well. I've received overwhelming comments from people that this has helped them move to a place of calm and peace, that they've been able to actually shift and go within and be a little bit more quiet by listening to these readings and prayers. So we're continuing this series for another 30 days in May. All you have to do is go back and pick up day 1. Didn't start day 1? That's fine. You can start anytime from day 1 all the way to day 30. So check it out on SoundCloud and Facebook. Let the spiritual leaders' voices through me speak to you and take you to a place of peace.
I want to thank you for joining us today. I love the fact that we are still able to get together online, and I send you my best love and my best wishes for this year. May next week, when we come together for Mother's Day, you be filled with joy and happiness and have love to share with everyone. And so it is. See you next week.
Let peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyful vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
And the presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yes, you. Join us now for our congregational meeting. Just click here if you're on the website or on the comment section someplace else and join us. We'll resume next week with our Zoom fellowship time. Thank you so much and looking forward to connecting and seeing you soon. God bless.